going the distance with local sports. Loretto Mustangs, Summertown Eagles, Lawrence County Wildcats. This is the xSports Network.
Great food is just a short drive to Hinie's BBQ in Lawrenceburg. Mouth-watering is just one way to describe the amazing flavors of the best piece of Hinie in town when you dig into a plate of pulled pork, hand-chopped brisket, chicken, wood-fire oven pizzas, and the menu goes on. Wash it all down with a swig of Hinie Shine lemonade and then make your way over to the gift shop full of Hinie sauces, snacks, and more. Hinie's BBQ, Highway 43 North in Lawrenceburg.
From the xSports Network, this is xSports Live, presented by Hinie's BBQ.
And welcome everybody here to xSports Live, brought to you by Hinie's BBQ. This is AJ Good here on the xSports Network, joined immediately by the members here of the Loretto football team. We got Carter Daniel, Clint Seymour, Corbin Reynolds, and head coach Barry Daniel, and all of them excited to be here right off the get-go. My co-host at some point will be here. Who knows when they'll get here, but I'm glad you guys are here to start things off. And first of all, week one, you guys go to Collinwood, come from behind win. Just how'd you guys feel after week one?
It felt good that, we had some struggles, and then we came back together and found a way to win in the end.
Clint?
Yeah, it felt good for us to overcome a little bit of adversity and finally stick together as a team and get it done.
Yeah, Corbin?
That's what they said. It felt real good, and you can't go 10-0 unless you go 1-0,
Yeah. Coach?
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with everything these guys already said. It's, we didn't have the cleanest game early. We kind of came in at halftime, settled down a little bit, didn't really make any adjustments, wasn't anything to change other than stop getting some silly penalties and quit giving up big plays. And once we did that, I thought we handled everything pretty well.
Yeah, and a couple things I learned from that game. Corbin can make some highlight reel catches, several highlight reel catches, and you guys got the running game going, which is good to see. I know that was one of the big question marks coming into the season, but hey, that three-headed monster you guys had got working, made some plays in the passing game. You got to be happy of putting up 45 points in week one.
Yes, sir. I felt like we could have thrown the ball better. I missed several throws in the first half, just overthrowing. So I feel like we could have thrown the ball better, and that would have helped us. But, we ran it really good, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Cool.
It's definitely nice having three receivers that can make plays like that, and especially Corbin. And having two running backs that can come in and not skip a beat, it kind of keeps the defense on their toes.
Yeah, I like being able to establish a run game because that opens it up for the receivers to make catches. I make catches.
Coach.
Yeah, and it was a good night. But like I said, it wasn't the cleanest, but as far as getting offense going and moving the ball and getting the running game going, Jaden had a big night, and then Nicholas came in, he had some big runs too. And offensive line did a pretty good job for the most part. There was a few things they did get some procedure calls, which you can't do that and put us in 1st and 20. But you take all those things out, and overall, I thought offensively we had a good night.
Yeah, another thing I learned that a running back can hit his knee twice on the ground and still run for a touchdown. So
roll over.
Yeah,
roll over.
I think we decided we're going to start just taking off after every play. You never know, they might not call you down.
You never know. It might work, it might not be the worst idea out there. But so this week has brought in some challenges, obviously. And now it's a rivalry week, but you guys are dealing with the heat. I know you guys have to practice inside. Going to have to do it tomorrow just for everybody, just how challenging has this week been, with these, triple-digit temperatures outside?
Yeah, it definitely gives us some obstacles to overcome this week because it's not a normal week where we can go out and practice every day. But we had to go home and come back last night and had a really good practice last night. So that's always good when you get to go out to make sure you do everything right.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been pretty hot, but we're kind of getting a little used to it. We're trying to get everybody used to it. We're hydrating a lot. It's going to It's gonna be a fun game.
Well, even though it's not ideal, like it's good for us, like mental reps. Like we call it mental days sometimes. You know, just good for the team.
Coach?
It's not the most, going in the gym is not the most fun thing to do because you play basketball in the gym. It'd be nice if we had a, 40-yard indoor somewhere where we could go practice outside of the heat, obviously, but we don't, so we have to make the most of it. And we got to go out Monday for about an hour in helmets, and that was a good clean day, just kind of a introduction install day. And last night we had a good practice. Today was good, but like I said, it was in the gym, and it was more of a walk through, talk through kind of deal to make sure that we, kind of know where we're at, what we're doing, and all that kind of stuff. But you don't like to do that because there's no hash marks, there's no numbers to line up on, there's no hash to put the ball on, work on field side runs and boundary side runs, things of that nature. So you kind of say, hey, put on the free throw line, this is the field, and that doesn't match up. But I mean, our guys, one thing, our guys, whether they're freshmen or seniors or they're 3-year starters or 1-year starters, whatever, they're really, really good kids. They're working really hard. They try to be in tune with what we're doing, and if they don't know, they feel comfortable to ask, hey, I thought this, and then they've done a good job of making adjustments with their mistakes. So it never hurts. And our Wednesdays kind of turned into like a mental day, kind of a recovery day, mental day. So it never hurts to have those days. I would just prefer to have been outside with it today,
Yeah, most people do, but
Yeah.
it kind of happens. So obviously it's a big week this week. Rivalry, you guys taking on Lawrence County. What's kind of been the feeling in school, around town about the game on Friday night?
There's definitely a lot of excitement. I think everybody went out and watched last week and watched then too. So I think there's a lot of excitement around the game, and a lot of people are going to be there because they want to see what happens.
Our biggest thing is we can't overhype it. We're just gonna come out and try to play our game. It's gonna, we're excited. We're always excited for Lawrence County, but we can't overhype it.
I mean, around school, around like just the community, I'm asked every day, like, y'all gonna beat Lawrence County this year, and like, come again and find out,
and it is, and that's kind of our approach is, like they got 3 times the number of students we got, so I mean they're a bigger school, and it is a rivalry and all that kind of stuff, and we need to win every now and then to make it a rivalry because it's been a minute since we won, make it a real rivalry. But I mean, these kids all grew up with each other, they all know each other, everybody wants to talk that game up, and it is a big game. But like I tell our guys all the time, don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, then you're going to, play too hurriedly or play too out of control and make a mistake here and there that could cost you in that game. And it's a fun game to approach to try to go after the bigger school and see, can you win? How can you do? But our bigger goals are down the road with our district play and that kind of stuff. But it would be nice to have this big game, have a big crowd. Hopefully the heat doesn't make people stay home. We're going to have a concession stand. We're going to have plenty of drinks. The crew has made sure there's plenty of water and Coke and that kind of stuff, Gatorade in the concession stand for everybody to be able to get a drink. And we did back the game up to 7:30, so it'll be a little cooler, just like last night. At 6 o'clock, there's no way we could have practiced.
Right.
But by 7, it was
Not
pretty.
bad.
It was hot, but it was bearable. And that's what we hope. We want everybody to come out and pack out the place, and let's see if we can put on a show. I mean, the last 3 years, it's been 52-38, 45-38, 42-41, or 48. I mean, or 48-42, or something like that. So. Been a lot of points scored, and it's been an exciting game for everybody to come watch. So hopefully it'll be another one.
Yeah, and speaking, you kind of took my next question there about the high-scoring games. You guys have had those 3 years in a row, and I know you guys want to put up points, but obviously on the other end, you don't want to give up that many points as well.
Yeah, I thought our defense played much better last Friday night. Obviously, we got fooled on some trick plays, gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. So, but overall, I thought our defense played really good the other night. So I don't know if it'll be as high scoring or not.
Yeah, our defense has gotten a lot better. Lawrence County's probably obviously going to score. We hope they don't, but we're just gonna have to bounce back on offense. I mean, our defense has gotten way better, so they're doing their job.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're way more confident in our defense. Like last year, like they gave a lot of points, but I feel like they're still good. But I feel like they got even better this year. Took an extra leap, another step, and like been better.
Okay.
Hopefully, we don't see backs as big the rest of the way after that. Last week, Collinwood had they got a big, huge fullback, a big tailback, and then the other guy, number 7, 22, was bigger than I thought he was. And we know coming into this game, they've got 2 really big backs and a number 22 is pretty fast, pretty shifty. So it definitely presents a challenge. And, we're hoping that next week, when we get to the next game, that they have a guy that's like maybe 5'10", 150 pounds, because these big backs are certainly a challenge, and they're big up front. It's been a lot of high scoring in our defense, though. I mean, last week I was standing on the sideline. It's 28-21 or whatever, and I'm going, man, we're playing pretty stinking good on defense, and there's 21 points on the board. Yeah. But like Carter said, 2 trick plays, a ran back kickoff, and then a guy rolling around on the ground, getting up and taking off. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you just got to limit that kind of stuff. But, from a standpoint of just defensively, we'll have our hands full because they're so big and the backs are big, and I mean they do a good job just coming right at you.
Yeah, you guys get up. I know every game's a big game. You only get guaranteed 10 opportunities each season, but obviously basketball, baseball, and you guys have played so many of these big games. How much do you get up for something big like this, or what everyone's anticipating it to be on Friday night?
Yeah, it definitely makes you get up more. I mean, you prepare to another level. Obviously, you prepare a lot for every game, but for these bigger ones, you always make sure you take an extra step, that you're getting your body right for the game, and you just kind of take everything to another level.
Yeah, like Carter said, you kind of take that extra step. You prepare a little bit better.
Well, honestly, like to me, all games like feel the same. Like there's just because there's more people in the crowd, that'll make the game bigger to me. Like I treat every game as the same. I want to win each game.
Yep. And if there's more people there, you get more chance to move the crowd a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like last time we were here, we talked about with the guys about, hey, we're not looking past first quarter of Collinwood.
Yeah.
And we talk about that as a team, like win that first quarter, win the second quarter, then we'll move on to Lawrence County. But I know that these dudes, in the back of their mind, they may be saying, yeah, coach, first quarter of Collinwood, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking, all right, we get by Collinwood, we got a big, in-county game coming up. So I know that it's big, and they're excited to play it. Everybody talks about it. You don't have to look at Huddle to see who's watching film on this week right here, because everybody's film counts up. So I mean, because they want that opportunity to break this streak and hopefully beat the bigger school, and bring that trophy back to Loretto for once.
How hard has that been for you guys? I know you didn't want to look past Collinwood because they played you so well the last few years, but coaches are realistic. Everybody's realistic. How hard is it knowing you got that big game in week 2 to lock in on week 1?
It is a challenge, but obviously we can't overlook them. But it's all everybody talks about, and you're just kind of like, I'm not talking about that this week. I'll talk to you about it next week. But it's hard to, because that's all everybody else talks about.
Yeah, everybody at the school wasn't really worried about Collinwood. They was more worried about Lawrence County, but we knew we had to get past Collinwood and get on the board 1-0 before we got to Lawrence County.
Yeah, just about everywhere, like around school, they're like, hey, what about Lawrence County game this year? And it's like, we haven't played the Jamboree yet. Like, give us a chance to get there.
I think more people watch the Lawrence County summertime game than our game with Collinwood at our school.
I don't know.
So many people have said stuff about it.
I was about to say our numbers were pretty even, but as far as the school goes.
Yeah, at school, I think more people have said something to me about that Lawrence County summertime game than our game with Collinwood.
Well, and the thing about it is, I mean, like, these guys, they know, I mean, they look down the schedule, they can see what's coming, and they see who's where and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, they didn't overlook Collinwood because they respected them. They knew, like last year, they made some plays on us, and they had some guys coming back that were really talented players. And we didn't do that a couple of years ago, I think, and we got out of there. The last time we went to Collinwood, we got out of there like 7-6, and we're lucky to win. So, but I think we were looking to, the next week a little bit too much, maybe offensively, especially. I think we thought, hey, we'll just go over there and run over them, and it'll be over. But it didn't work out that way, and we didn't do that, this time. So, it was a good preparation for leading up to this week.
Corbin, you still like ice baths?
Nah. I don't like coldness, ice, nothing that can change my body temperature down. I don't like that.
Yeah, we got me and Jaden and Jack got one after practice today, and he was running from it.
I saw him in basketball. He couldn't even get his toes in there.
It didn't feel good. Y'all don't understand. Cold, leg goes numb. I don't like that.
But air conditioning's good, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, AC cool.
Obviously, you three have been busy with summer baseball for you too, Corbin. I know you've been busy with basketball. Just how do you, I know you have this football season coming up, but how do you guys balance all the baseball stuff, all the football stuff you have going on during the summer?
Yeah, so pretty much I just go to football during the week and then go play and try to do both at some point throughout the day and then go play on the weekends. But then there was one tournament where I had to miss a week, and we both did. We had to miss a week of practice because it was the biggest tournament of the summer, and we had to be there.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to balance it. I knew my guys were putting in work though, so.
Yeah, I didn't miss as much as them. But the days they did miss, you still got to keep the team together. Just because your quarterback or you're one of your best wide receivers aren't there, you still got to mental reps again. Take the right steps, do what you're supposed to do still, even players aren't there.
Yeah, and we don't, as a coach, I want guys to do as much as they can because you get one shot at high school. The clock starts in 9th grade and it stops when you're a senior. And, and like football, you can always play pickup basketball. You can always play old man softball or golf or something like that. But football kind of locks you out. Yeah. And for us to have a successful program, we got to have guys like these guys. And any guy that is a baseball player, basketball player that thinks about playing football, sometimes their concern is, well, what if I miss for AAU or what if I miss for travel ball and all that? We don't care because I'm not going to punish these guys or any kid that is, going to pitch, going to play basketball, whatever. Like in June, I don't see him a whole lot in June because Coach Tips plays 50 games in June, and they're always gone to play.
Yeah.
And Clint this year too, I forgot, but that's okay because they're getting a workout. They're getting an athletic workout. They're helping another team. And I cheer for them just as much in basketball or baseball as I do when they're out there for football because that's how you get a school culture turned around and changed. If I said, well, look, guys, you either got to pick. You're going to be here for football workouts or you go to basketball. Well, I'm going to have about 25, 30 players as opposed to 65. And everybody's going to go their own way, and that's just not cool for the school because at the end of the day, it's all about what are we doing to help the kids and what are we doing to help the school.
Finally, guys, keys to victory for Friday night. What do y'all got to do?
I think we have to establish the run game early to open up our passing late because they're going to I think they'll try to get some pressure in there. So if we can establish the run and make them back off a little bit with that, it'll open up our passing and make it where we can score easier.
Yeah, we just got to execute the game plan, just score more points than them. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, like Carter said, establish the run game early, but defense, wrap up them big backs like Coach was saying. As long as we wrap up, hit them hard, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah,
don't overhype it. It's just it's not just another game, but just take care of us. Do what we do. But the biggest thing is we've got to tackle the big backs. We got to keep 22 from squirting around in there because he's quick and shifty and fast. Whenever they decide to fake it to one of the big backs and hand it to him, and then obviously we can't go to sleep on some play action because if you just sell out to the run, eventually they're going to hit you with a big pass. They've got a couple capable receivers, and so that sounds like a lot, but really, just play within ourselves, stay even tempered, and if something bad happens, can't get too low, and if something good happens, can't get too high, and play as hard as you can, and play for each other and love each other, and see what happens.
Sounds good, guys, and good luck coming up here on Friday night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, well, coming up next, we got the voice of the UNA Lions, Benjamin Ray, is going to join us here on xSports Live, brought to you by Hinie's BBQ.
Do you have a small farm, a big farm, or just critters in the backyard to feed? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you need to make the short drive down to A&B Feeds in Etheridge, Tennessee today. Owner and operator Jamie Ayers has you covered and will treat you right. That's A&B Feeds in Etheridge, Tennessee.
Arctic Air keeps your home or business comfortable. For more than 20 years, we've provided outstanding residential and commercial services through southern Middle Tennessee. Whether you need assistance with your heat, air conditioning, preventive maintenance, or anything in between, trust our reliable team to get the job done. We'll take the time to figure out your specific needs and recommend what we believe is right and best for your situation.
We've been using Arctic Air for over 15 years now. Their service is great, they're here when we need them, and their prices are competitive. They take the worry out of the heat and air so I don't have to.
Arctic Air, when you need us, we'll be there.
A local law firm respected throughout the state. Generations of clients have turned to Boston, Holt, and Durham since 1948. We assist individuals and businesses with their legal needs, including real estate, property closings, personal injury, employment discrimination, and family law. Our clients get the personal attention and convenience of a hometown law firm with the resources and ability to handle any case. Come see us at Boston, Holt, and Durham.
Got a dent, a ding, a scratch, or a bent fender? Major or minor, Car Country Collision Center in Leoma can fix you up. Car Country works with all insurance carriers, gives free estimates, can work on foreign and domestic vehicles, and has experience you can trust. They've been in business since 1990. Unfortunately, accidents happen, but you can get your car back on the road with as little hassle as possible with the help of Car Country. Call 931-852-4708 or stop by at 2567 Highway 43 South in Leoma.
Hey everyone, this is Landon Saunders.
And this is Nate Patterson with Cloud9 Fiber.
We're excited to finally be able to offer Lawrenceburg our blazing fast, reliable, and affordable fiber internet services.
If you're looking for a more reliable and more affordable provider, we at Cloud9 Fiber have you covered.
Plans start at $50 a month, and we can offer up to a gigabit to your home or business.
We are excited to be able to offer your first month of service entirely free. We encourage you to sign up on cloud9fiber.com or by calling 931-201-9098 so we can help you make the switch today.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? With today's home values, this is the perfect time to sell. And
Going the distance with local sports. This is the xSports Network.
And back here at xSports Live, brought to you by Hinie's BBQ, we are joined on the phone by the voice of the UNA Lions and Benjamin Ray. And Ben, kind of a busy week for you. You got week 0 coming up in football. You guys got a home soccer game against Chattanooga. Volleyball kicks things off this week. It's the most wonderful time of the year, but it's also one of the most busiest times of the year for you guys.
Hey, it's great to be with you. You summed it up perfectly. Ready or not, here we go. It feels like just yesterday. I think I was talking with you on this show. I was down at the beach.
You were.
Some relaxation, wrapping up the season. Yeah. Where did time go? Here we are for another run. On one hand, I'm super excited. I can't wait. I'm like you, we love to do what we do.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm like, I need 2 more weeks to get ready. I'm not ready for this. But
Right.
we're excited to hit the ground running tomorrow with soccer and football kicking off week 0 on ESPN. I mean, it's a super exciting time.
Yeah, and we'll start off with the sport that's already in action. Soccer lost to Belmont last Thursday, picked up a tie with Southern Indiana, and then got a team from the SoCon coming in Thursday. Just what have you seen out of Chris Walker's crew here in the first 2?
Really unlucky against Belmont. And if you keep up with soccer, you hear that term a lot when you speak with coaches. Player scored on probably the shot of her career. It was a great shot, not to take anything away from her, but just perfect placement. And we're out shooting opponents right now. We're just not able to find the back of the net. We've given up some early goals and then not allowed much after the fact. 18 new faces on this year's roster, so I think some of it's still learning that chemistry out there on the pitch, if you will, still figuring out how to play together, figuring out roles. You've got some veterans coming off the bench. You've got some veterans who have been out. They're not panicking. Coach Walker's been very pleased with the way his team has battled, and it's going to be a tough test against the Chattanooga team who's always presented a challenge to us at the Division I level, and I think more than anything, they're just excited to be home. And don't forget, the game got pushed back by an hour due to the heat, so it's going to be an interesting night.
Yeah, that's it's kind of been everyone's bugaboo here of late is the heat. I know football has to go through it, soccer has to go through it. When you're on that turf, you know as well as I do, that adds about, 20 degrees when you're playing on there midday?
I don't know how they do it. You step on it and you can feel the burn on your feet. And for soccer players, they're running the equivalent of 7 to 9 miles per match. I don't know how they do it. And if you live in the South and in the humidity, doesn't matter how good a shape you're in, there's no way to really prepare.
Absolutely. And also, you got volleyball starting this weekend. They made a massive improvement from the year previous to now, so I know everyone's expecting a lot more improvement again this year.
And it's a good mix of players under Tristan Johnson this year, his second season. He's got 3 fifth-year seniors who kind of team leaders came back and said, hey, we want to do this again. And then he brought in some very talented freshmen, high-impact transfers, and they played an exhibition against Alabama. I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about it, but we actually won the first set.
Ooh, okay.
Hit like 620 as a team. And then he started kind of taking some of the veterans out, some of the key players, rotate people in, and we had a chance to win 2 of the next 3 sets. So he was very pleased with the way they went and battled against an SEC team. And the first real taste of action, and kind of a cool story for him, he got his coaching start at Alabama.
Right.
He also was a full-time assistant at Arkansas State, and we go to the Arkansas State tournament this weekend. So it's been a cool open for Tristan, getting to go back to his old stomping grounds, and I'm just excited to see the step forward that his team takes from last year to this year, because you saw the impact he had last season. Now we had a real off season. Year 1, I don't think people truly understand how tough it is for coaches. You got to move, you got to hire staff,
right?
You got to find a team. Year 2, you can really install what you want to install, and I'm super thrilled to watch his team go to work.
And obviously, everyone's focused on week 0, prime time, 2:30 Central, FCS kickoff. Lions debut of Brent Dearman, and like we were talking before we went on air, Ben, there's some things we can't expect, but really there are so many unknowns coming into this week 0 game against Mercer.
There's so many unknowns, so many cool storylines. For Coach Dearman, his brother coaches at Saraland High School, and on Friday night, they're taking on Lipscomb Academy, and that game's going to be on ESPN. Wide receivers, they got a defense that brings back, I think, 6 of the top 7 tacklers or some crazy number like that. But they'll be breaking in a quarterback who was the starter 2 years ago, got beat out, kind of been the bench guy. Now he's getting his turn again. Kudos to him for kind of sticking around over there in the era of players transferring out. So it's going to be a very interesting Saturday. What factor will that heat play? 2:30 kickoff in Montgomery, Alabama. It's going to be brutal, and they're not going to move that kickoff time because it's an ESPN game,
Yeah.
So we're super excited. we call it week 0. We've been going since the last week of July. I wish we had 2 more weeks, but at the same time, I wish tomorrow was Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get this thing rolling.
Yeah, and Mercer, offensively, they run what I like to call like a version of the air raid with the wing T. It's a different offense that their head coach brought in when he was the head coach of Lenore Rhine. That's you see it a lot at the FCS level, a lot of challenging offenses, and this is something they've kind of perfected since he became the head coach there at Macon. And it's going to be a different challenge for a defense that we said off air. I mean, you look at that 2 deep, there's not a lot of recognizable names on that 2 deep.
There's not. I've got a lot of names to learn between now and Saturday. And you say, well, have you not been watching practice? Well, yeah, you watch practice, but guys don't practice in the jerseys that they play in.
Right.
So it's hard to learn who people are. And it's a defense that is rebuilt. There's some key guys back in Philip Osai and Cameron Green on the defensive line, but linebackers, defensive backs, they're almost all new. And they're pretty high impact. Amari Floyd, he was an all-conference caliber player, transferred in. Gregory Riddick was an all-conference player. He transferred in. So there's some big pieces that have been brought in. And how are they going to mesh game 1? How well are they all going to play in a brand new system? So a lot of question marks for this defense, and you could not ask for a tougher start. Maybe if you're playing an FBS team. I mean, they've got a wide receiver who was a finalist for the Walter Payton Award, and he's one of those do-it-all guys. Let me return a kick for touchdown. Let me return a punt for touchdown. Let me line up as a receiver, running back. So you don't want to lose the game via special teams. And then they got a big body wide receiver you got to worry about matching up with. They got their lead rusher back. So talk about a big bang to open up the season. And, don't forget it's on ESPN. Everybody will be watching.
Yeah, no pressure there at all for that brand new look defense. Obviously, everyone is focusing offensively because, Dearman's got his offensive background. And, you've been to a lot of the practices. I've seen some drills there that I've never seen before. So he's definitely bringing in an innovative approach. I know people focus some on the defense, but I know everyone there in Florence and a lot of outside observers are really excited to see what's going to happen offensively.
And there's one word that everybody uses when talking about this offense, and that's tempo. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think of Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights. I want to go fast.
Right.
And what everybody has said, from quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, linemen, even coaches, everybody I've talked to have said, I've never played in an offense this fast before. And you're talking about guys that are, college athletes, they're world class. They are in shape. They, all the diet, nutrition, it's all there for these kids today. And they're in incredible shape. And they're all talking about how fast practices, how fast games are. Coach Dearman was telling us about a period that they do where the offense is going to run 4 plays. And the goal is to run those 4 plays as fast as possible. And it's crazy to watch. On one hand, I don't know what it's going to be like as a play-by-play broadcaster. What's this going to be like? Is it going to be like a fast break basketball?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. You see it in practice, and you don't really get a taste of it until the game. So it's going to be new for everybody.
I know they're going to be on the big stage, like you said, the first time since the 95 National Championship game. They're going to be on ESPN. They're playing at a neutral site, which I know it's something kind of new for Mercer and for UNA as well. Just how excited is this team that in this first game with all these new players that they're going to be on this national stage that ESPN presents?
And the great thing about it, AJ, that the band is going down.
Oh.
Marching Pride. One of the best collegiate bands out there. And I'm excited for them to be on the national stage as well. You're going to hear them all throughout the ESPN broadcast. The dance team's going. The cheer group's going. The alumni organizations are doing a bunch of things down there. I don't know what the ticket sales have looked like. I don't know what kind of crowds Mercer draws, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of purple and gold in those stands down there at the Crimson Bowl. I know the heat's going to keep some people away, and that's totally understandable. I'm hoping our radio booth's nice and air-conditioned. Brian East and I have been talking about that, but The excitement level is just so high, and it's really remarkable, the support for this program. I know the last 5 years have been tough. We talk about it.
Yeah.
You're there talking with us.
Yeah.
We've been close.
Right.
I mean, what did we had 4 or 5 games that were one-score games that we could have won last year, and that's the difference in a 1-win team and a 5 or 6-win team. And
Right.
the community's support has never wavered, and I hope there's a lot of UNA fans down there. I really can't wait to see this team in action, and that's the great thing about this community is the love is just always there.
Yeah. And, from personal experience, I used to work in Macon, so I covered Mercer a lot there for a couple years. And home-wise, they always sold out the place, but they don't necessarily travel well. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they, it has a bowl atmosphere down there. But I'm expecting a lot of purple as well. So, but moving on to basketball, big news, obviously, at the end of last week. You got the women's and men's schedules that got released. You have your same ASUN opponents, but you look at both the men and the women. They kind of stacked up the non-conference as well, so not an easy road for either side.
I won't lie to you, AJ. I've looked at those schedules briefly, but I've been so dialed in on fall sports, I haven't made it there yet. But talking with Coach Pujols, talking with Coach Tiber, you know what they're going to do. They're going to go play the best. They want to be ready for a run in the ASUN. And those schedules are great. What I like about these schedules, the final football game of the year is against Florida State, and the November day escapes my mind off the top of my head. It's whatever date the Florida State game is.
Yeah.
The women host Southern Miss in basketball, and the men host Jacksonville State. And we've been talking, that might be the best non-conference doubleheader we've ever had.
Right, yeah.
And it says two things. One, it's keeping the rivalry with Jacksonville State going, but it also shows the respect that Missy Tiber's program has, that Southern Miss is willing to come up to Florence to play a game.
Right.
And that's just a thrilling non-conference matchup, and it really is a testament to the way these two programs have been the last 6 years. Entering this year, Missy Tiber's women's team has the second most conference wins of any active ASUN school behind Florida Gulf Coast, which is pretty remarkable considering we were Division II just 5-6 years ago. And then you look at what Tony's bringing back. They made the WBI last year. You look at what left the conference. Liberty and Jacksonville State both out. Kennesaw State had a bunch of players transfer out after winning it last year, but they're going to be retooled. But you feel like the league's kind of wide open up there for the taking. So what has stood true on the men's side, and I think you'll see this more throughout mid-major basketball, teams that can keep their core together for 2, 3, 4 years are the teams that have success.
That's right.
And you look, Tony's core, they've been together 3 years.
Yeah.
You've got some veterans on that team that have played a lot of basketball together. So they feel like they're ready to make a run. And as excited as I am for football to get here on Saturday and soccer tomorrow night, I can't wait for November when we tip off basketball season, because I think it's going to be a thrilling year.
Yeah, you got me excited as well, Ben, and you know as well as I do. You've watched it more than I have. But the ASUN, women's and men's side, it's turning into one of the tougher leagues in the mid-majors. Yeah, there's just not an easy game night in and night out.
Last year, you legitimately wondered if it could be a two-bid league on the men's side. You thought Liberty might have a shot at getting an automatic bid, and it really is crazy. Florida Gulf Coast was finished to pick second or third last year.
Yeah.
And they didn't even make the conference tournament.
Right.
That's kind of how wide open it has been. And you look at the transition schools, UNA, Bellarmine, and Queens. Well, UNA and Bellarmine both played for the ASUN championship as transitional schools.
Yeah.
Queens shocked everybody last year. I think they were picked dead last. And they had a great run through the ASUN. So it's an incredibly tough league. It's a diverse league. It's a league, when we got in, AJ, it was a guard-dominant league.
Yeah.
A lot of great small guards. And now all of a sudden you look around the league, and you got some big dudes in this league. The league got big fast. But ASUN Madness, it's going to start end of December. It's going to be another thrilling run, and you want to get hot out of the gate. It's kind of what Tony and Missy both did last year, hot out of the gate. And they both finished strong. So it's kind of how you start and how you finish heading into postseason play.
Absolutely, Ben. Well, thank you so much, man, for coming on xSports Live with us tonight. And we'll see you at the Crampton Bowl on Saturday afternoon.
Anytime, AJ. We appreciate you and xSports and your great coverage. And, man, it's a great partnership. We appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. Well, that was Ben Ray, the voice of the UNA Lions. Well, coming up next, me, Clint, and Dusty going to be talking some college football. That's here on xSports Live, brought to you by Heine's BBQ.
I'm Mike Keith, and my friends at Elliott Johnson Insurance have a great partner in Auto Owners Insurance. Auto Owners makes it easy to get life, home, car, or business insurance. Let Elliott Johnson Insurance find the Auto Owners policy that makes a difference in your life. Call Elliott Johnson Insurance at one of their 3 locations, Florence, Loretto, and Lawrenceburg. Elliott Johnson Insurance, moving forward for our clients every day.
Employee Resources Credit Union is an easy solution to banking, offering a personal, simple, yet modern way to bank. When you bank with ERCU, you are a shareholder, meaning you own a piece of the pie. And we make it easy with the convenience of digital banking, with service you won't find at another financial institution, including low to zero fees and incredible rates. We have the technology you need with the personal service you deserve, right here in your own neighborhood. Employee Resources Credit Union, not for profit, for service.
For decades, First Class Charter has provided high-quality motor coach transportation services to the Tennessee Valley. With numerous safety and cleanliness accreditations, First Class Charter is ready to make your group trip a reality. Contact us today by visiting firstclasscharter.net. First Class Charter, the official motor coach company of the North Alabama Lions.
Flooring sets the tone throughout your home.
For flooring that makes the right first impression, start by choosing us, Floored by Justin.
A one-stop flooring destination. Our new location stands alone for unequaled customer service and selection. Owner Justin Story's mastery of custom hardwood inlays means every room can have a custom look. Discover how the right choice of hardwood, laminate, carpet, or tile can set the tone in your home. Contact Floored by Justin today.
Great food is just a short drive to Heine's BBQ in Lawrenceburg. Mouth-watering is just one way to describe the amazing flavors of the best piece of Hinie in town when you dig into a plate of pulled pork, hand-chopped brisket, chicken, wood-fire oven pizzas, and the menu goes on. Wash it all down with a swig of Hinie Shine lemonade and then make your way over to the gift shop full of Hinie sauces, snacks, and more. Heine's BBQ, Highway 43 North in Lawrenceburg.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the xSports Network.
Welcome next back to xSports Live, brought to you by Heine's BBQ. Joined by the guys, Clint Brazier and Dusty Kaiser, back here on the show. And guys, been a busy week. We've had a lot going on here, haven't we?
Well, I've called more games this week, and it's only halfway through, and I've got 2 more to call this week. But it's been a good week. It's been a good week.
And Dusty, I mean, breaking out the JV football. I mean, it's
JV commentator for a JV football game.
AJ was there. I showed him the text I sent you and Will, and it said, "You guys sound terrible." But
Will tells me that as I'm sitting here, and I'm like, well, you know, I'm looking at my board. Y'all should have seen my setup I had. I sent it to Jay.
You guys, cardboard with red Sharpie.
You guys did a great job. That's just me giving you heck. And
I know.
And it's good that we can call JV high school football games.
Oh, and it was a good. I mean, all in all, it was a good game.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, I do want to give a quick shout out. All my buddies down in Hannah Holler, Charles, Hardhead. They're loyal listeners, xSports Network, big Summertown fans. So, but thank you for tuning in. Big shout out to you guys.
Yeah. Now, we were actually just talking a little bit of wrestling off air, but some news just broke today. Legend Terry Funk has passed away.
I've seen that.
And, I mean, this guy was NWA champion, WCW champion.
ECW champion.
ECW champion. He could do a regular match. He could do a hardcore match, a death match. I mean, that guy might be the most versatile wrestler we've ever seen.
I mean, his Chainsaw Charlie gimmick was probably one of the best with him and Mick Foley.
Listen, the 92 Royal Rumble is probably the best of all time.
Yeah.
But my favorite is him, Mick Foley, going at it over and over because they were like first 5 or 6 entrants in it. Chainsaw Charlie and Mick Foley going at it in '98.
Yes.
And they just put on a show.
They did.
And Terry Funk. And I just loved Bruce Pritchard. Have you ever heard his description of how they talked him into doing that Chainsaw Charlie character?
Well, he does that impression of Terry Funk.
Well, it was a barber.
Yeah.
Barber.
Yeah.
It was a barber that he had that him and his best friend and his childhood best friend had just died, and he had signed a contract with WWE or WWF at the time and said, "Yeah, I really want to do this. I don't want to be Terry Funk. Everybody knows Terry Funk. I want to do this Chainsaw Charlie because that's what we called this barber that was terrible."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's how they came along.
Yeah. He brought the chainsaw, but he had like that pantyhose soft.
That's what
one.
he's
We all
stocking
knew-
over his head.
We all knew it was Terry
Everybody
Funk.
did.
Well, I mean, who didn't know who was the left-handed southpaw
Right.
that, just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, guys, I watched the Swamp Kings documentary, which that's my rant tonight, so that's a little bit later. But I got inspired to throw. After this, we're going to get who we think is going to be our college football top 10 at the end of the season. Not right now at the end of the season, but first I'm going to throw some what ifs.
Okay.
To guys. These guys have not seen this; they don't know what's about to happen. Number one, what if Tim Tebow would have picked Alabama over Florida? What do you think happens?
Well, let me go first because you're an Alabama fan. Let's see. Tebow won a national championship as a backup in 2007.
Seven.
All right. Alabama in 2007. That was Nick Saban's
It
first
was a 2006
year.
season, 2007
Right.
national. Yeah.
All right. So that was Nick Saban's first year. So probably nothing going to happen. All right. Probably he probably doesn't win a national championship. Second year, though, Tebow wins the Heisman. But that second year, Alabama starts getting some things going. They go to the SEC championship.
Yeah.
You throw Tebow on that team, they may win the SEC championship and go to the national championship. The next year, it's Florida and Alabama in the 2009 SEC championship. So that's kind of tough, but you got to feel like Alabama would have been better. Even though Alabama beat them in 2009, then Florida did win it in 2010, right?
Yes, Florida won 10. No.
Well, they won 2.
06, 08. They won it the 06 season, the 08 season, then they were back in the title game in the 09 season. That's when Bama beat them and then eventually beat Texas in the Rose Bowl.
But Florida won it the next year against Ohio State, right?
No. Ohio State was the team.
But
they beat
Tebow
the
won
first
2.
year.
What
Yeah,
years
he-
were they? His freshman year, he was a backup, and then he won another
and then
one
he
as a
beat
starter
Oklahoma.
against Ohio State.
Yeah,
They
Ohio
both raced
State was the
Ohio
first-
State.
Oh, yeah, they both raced Ohio State. That's when he was.
Because they were in a
backup.
playoff then.
Yeah,
He
then
won
it was
06 and
Oklahoma.
08. I got it right here.
Okay.
Oklahoma was the
All right.
second team.
All right. So T-Bone's senior year was 09 when
Bama.
Alabama beat them.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I've said it. I hate Florida, but I think Tim Tebow's probably the greatest college football player of all time. If you just look at what he did and what Florida's record was in that stretch, and I don't know how you get worse, but he's also coming in the same time that Nick Saban came in, and that's when that run started. So I don't know. I honestly just do not know, but I don't think they'd be worse.
Yeah. What do you think, Dusty?
I'm going to agree. I don't think we would have been any worse. I think we probably would have got one more title.
Maybe so.
I would say one more title, possibly 2 more SEC championships.
Well, you're taking him off the team that beat you the year before.
Yes, I'm taking him off a team and putting him on
2008.
my team. Right. I think it would have been fun to see him under center with the run game we had.
Right.
And, and with the weapons that were coming in about that time, I think we would have scored a ton of points. We wasn't scoring a lot of points back then. Nick was keeping those games old school.
He could win games 3-0 back then.
Yeah, 3-0. That was fine. I think we would have scored a whole lot more points with Tebow as a quarterback.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, and I don't want to take anything from McElroy away from him, but, come on.
But,
I think McElroy did have a little bit better NFL career than Tebow.
Yeah.
He did start.
So my next what if actually deals with Saban. What if Saban would have had a lot of success in Miami, stayed with the Dolphins. Where's Alabama football?
Oh, we're nowhere near where we're
Well,
at.
you would have had Rich Rodriguez probably.
Well, Rich actually turned it down.
He turned it down.
Saban
Let me
took
take
over,
that back. Yeah, but he turned it down to get more money from West Virginia.
Yeah.
But what did he do after that?
Left for Michigan.
Alabama would have probably come back after him, and he would have probably ended up there.
Yeah.
I have said this to anybody that would listen. I've said this to Dusty, I know, before. But my biggest, I was screaming because I wanted Philip Fulmer to be fired the year before. Just for the simple fact that I said I blame Rich Rodriguez for the downfall of Tennessee football. Because if he would have took that job at Alabama, they would have been stuck with him for at least 4 years.
He was at 3 years in Michigan.
Yeah. And they would have been stuck with him.
Yeah.
Well, Tennessee's going to fire Fulmer the next year.
Yeah.
And then if Tennessee goes after Saban, Tennessee's got Saban instead of Alabama. So I always blame Rich Rodriguez, but the decisions the head people made at Tennessee didn't mean they were going to go after Saban and throw the money at him that Alabama did. Yeah. But boy, it sure is something nice to think about though. What could have been, but yeah, I don't know. Saban is everything you've heard and seen. I think Saban, NFL, dealing with egos, dealing with people that are making more money than you.
Yeah.
Saban's a college football coach. I don't think it would ever work. I think if he would have stayed another year and never went to Alabama, I think wherever he would have went, if he'd went back to LSU or if he went back to the Big Ten, I think he would be dominating wherever that is.
Right.
I think, and you talked about it just for a second in a documentary, AJ. I feel like Alabama was on such a, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but in a hurry to get that coach that I know that Urban had already won at Florida. I feel like Alabama would have kind of, if you want to say, pulled a Brinks truck up and said, Urban Meyer, here you go. And I think Urban Meyer's a snake, and I've said this to numerous people, and I'll make it.
Alabama would have probably looked like Florida did for about 4 or 5 years.
Yes, but I will say that if Urban Meyer was ever the coach at Alabama, I would burn all my stuff and I would find a new team.
All right. Well, speaking of, you kind of touched on this. This will be our last what if. I've got 3 coaches that UT could have hired. What happens to you? You can go through each one of them. What happens if Tennessee hires either Greg Schiano, Mike Gundy, or Mike Leach as their head coach? Where's Tennessee football?
In that time period, you got to kind of be more specific, because I am a hardcore Tennessee fan. Yeah. So, are you saying what if they hired it when they fired Fulmer? Is that when you're saying?
No. When they were going through the stuff with Butch.
All right, when they knew they were firing Butch.
Because Gundy's been rumored both times.
Well,
and, obviously the Schiano thing, then we all remember that.
I don't think Gundy was ever a really viable option. I mean, you could have, like Dusty said, you could have took an armored truck and may have persuaded him to guide him. But I think he was just using Tennessee to get more money from Oklahoma State. Schiano, look, ESPN, and there was a time that everybody was criticizing Vol fans that I absolutely hated because they were saying, well, Tennessee ran him off because they were alleging him to the Jerry Sandusky stuff because he was there at the time and didn't report it. Well, there probably were some Tennessee fans that said that, but the majority of us Tennessee fans was like, no, we don't need a guy that can win, that can go 6-6 in a week conference.
Yeah.
Alabama's proved it.
Yeah.
Florida's proved it. LSU has proved it.
Yeah.
Find the right coach, and you can turn a program around.
Well, Tennessee's proved it.
Tennessee's proved it with Josh Heupel.
Yeah.
And none of those options after Butch that were, whenever you left out, NFL coach. Gruden.
Yeah.
You left out Gruden. I mean,
I don't
there
know how
there was a
serious that
6-year
ever was.
stretch where
Yeah.
every Tennessee fan was losing their mind thinking that we were getting Gruden. I was like, that's not going to happen. Everybody calm down. And if it did happen, that's not who we needed.
No.
You know, listen, I'll be honest with you. When we fired Butch, I was praying that they would just say, to heck with what the fans are going to think. They'll get over it after a couple of years when we're winning ball games again. Go back and get Lane Kiffin.
Absolutely.
That's what I was saying.
I've said it all
Forget
along.
what he did.
And
Forget 2000. Forget how he left. Go get him. That's what I was saying.
And
But I didn't like the three options you gave out. I was like, if you get any of those three, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
I don't think they were good fits for Tennessee.
No, I don't. No.
No, I don't think any of the three.
And then to top it all off, Philip Fulmer, who hates Alabama, hires an Alabama guy.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it just came out of nowhere. So
yeah. Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say. Clint said a lot. I think Leach probably would have been the best fit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Leach on, it would have kind of looked like we look now, but I don't know that. Mike Leach, God rest his soul. I mean, college football is going to miss him.
Absolutely.
But I think what Josh Heupel's doing with his high-flying offense is a little different than Leach's, and I think Heupel can recruit enough players to have a stable enough defense. We've only had him 2 years, but I feel like his span's going to be a little longer than Leach's span could have been.
Right.
I feel like Leach would have been the best Band-Aid we could have had after that, but I don't think that was a long-term fix.
Right.
I think Heupel, and this is just my opinion in college football in general, Heupel's he's got to win with Nico. I feel like, and if he don't, he won't have a job in Tennessee.
Well, the good thing about Heupel is who was the quarterback coach Oklahoma that ended up
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Riley,
I think
yeah,
I think Heupel's kind of like Lincoln Riley, except maybe a little better as far as X's and O's and actually winning football games, clock management, things like that, dealing with players. I think what you're seeing out of Heupel is he knows how to make kids feel good about where they are.
Oh, I think you're right.
And I'm sure he's told Nico, you're probably not going to play this year, but listen, don't get it wrong. We're not expecting you to be here for 4. You give me 2 good years.
Right.
Because he's going out to get the next Nico.
Right.
To come in and play 2 more years. That's
You're right.
just the way college football
Yeah,
is
that's how it
now.
works
You're not
for
getting a
sure.
4-year quarterback. You're trying to get somebody to sit behind your stud
Yes.
and then play the next 2 years.
Right.
Is what you're trying to get.
4-year quarterback in college football is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Unless they're just on that, especially if they're elite.
Yeah.
Now, if they're just kind of on the verge, thinking, okay, I may be a first-round draft pick or I may, but I'm really a second-round draft pick, they may come back for their 4th year depending on where they might fall in the draft.
And when we get into our top 10, I'll touch on Nico more and Joe Milton more, but yeah, I'm right there with
All
you.
right, it's top 10 time. Go. So this is going to be not who we think the top 10 is now, who we think the top 10 is going to be at the end of the season, Dusty.
All right, I'm going to keep it like when we had our show a few weeks ago. I think, when you were out. I've got Michigan winning it all, so I've got Michigan at number 1. I didn't want to change that. I didn't want to go back on my word.
Okay.
I've got Georgia finishing 2nd. Going to change a little bit, and I will. AJ's going to call me out on it. I got Bama finishing 3.
Okay.
I got USC, Florida State, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Clemson, and Ohio State.
I think I think mine's exactly the same as yours, except for 2 teams. I've got TCU in my top 10 final, and you've got Florida State. I do not have Florida State. Listen, I gave the benefit of the doubt to Kirby Smart and Georgia. Yeah, they lost a lot of players, but you know what? They hadn't lost a game in 2 years.
Right.
And you've got to look at what they've recruited in the last 3 to 4 years. So it's not like they're going to fall off. I really, as bad as I hate to say this, and as good as this may sound like a cop-out, but I'm so glad when the new schedule comes out, Tennessee don't have to play them every year right now.
Right.
Because I do feel like Kirby Smart is the new Nick Saban.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like that tide has turned. I know you're not going to like to hear that, But I'm right there with you because I've got Michigan number 2. I've got Georgia right now beating Michigan in the national championship because Michigan didn't lose anything. I think this is the best team Jim Harbaugh probably has coached.
Okay, if Harbaugh, we talk about him every year getting fired or being on the hot seat, and I know he's suspended for 3 games, and the 3 games they suspended him for, like cupcake, he don't even have to be there.
Right.
If Harbaugh doesn't win with this team he's got now,
he should be on the hot seat.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, well, you're bringing back 10 out of your 11 starters on defense.
Here's the deal. He's not going to the worst he's probably going to do with this team, even with bad coaching, is 11-1 and lose to Ohio State.
And I think they beat Ohio State.
I think so.
And
again,
I talked about that the other day. I think Ryan Day gets fired at the game. I don't think they can let him get back on the plane.
Yeah. My number 3, I've got Bama, but just for the simple fact that. And I didn't say it in the Georgia thing, but the other reason why Georgia's got an easy route.
Yeah, they do.
With them dropping that Texas game because they have them the next year and they picked up a cupcake, really the Georgia-Tennessee game, that's the only one regular season-wise they're probably going to be in jeopardy of losing. I do have Bama 3 because, simple fact, it's Nick Saban. It's Bama. They're loaded with 4 and 5 stars. They might lose 2 games during the regular season. But they're probably not losing the bowl game, and they're going to finish 10-2. And are you going to put a 10-2 Ohio State or Penn State ahead of them or whoever else in the final rankings? Right. That's why I've got Bama. Next, I've got Ohio State because the only game they're probably going to lose is to Michigan, and they're probably still going to get in the playoffs like normal. And lose, but they'll still finish in. That's just a Michigan-Ohio State thing. They somehow always finish in the top 4.
Yes.
I do have Clemson because I think Clemson's got an easy route. I think if Clemson just don't screw up this year against South Carolina like Tennessee did last year and they did last year, I think Clemson's probably in the playoff.
Well, I think I got Florida State going to the playoff, but I think
better than Clemson
but I think that's going to be the Clemson's loss.
Right.
So I think that could put them in the top 10.
Then I've got TCU because Big 12 is just so bad.
I don't think TCU's all that now.
Well, I mean, who's beating them in the Big 12?
I think Texas.
Well, Texas could.
Kansas State.
Texas is right there in my 11-12. You know, and if somebody's going to challenge me, it has to be Texas.
Has to be. I mean, you got.
But other than that, that's only got. And if they lose that, they still probably go 11-1 and still may get in.
TCU's so weird because they're good every other year or every 2 years. At least that's the way they were under Gary Patterson. New coach. I mean, Sonny Dykes might change that to where they're good every year. But for now, I think they might be an 8 to 9 win team at best this year.
All right. So then after that, I had to go West Coast, and I put USC. I don't know that USC will be there, but name recognition alone and how terrible that conference is, I think they'll end up in the final top 10, whether they're 10-2 or 10-3, depending on what they do in a bowl game. That I put USC. Next, I've got Tennessee, just for the simple fact that I don't see Tennessee beating Bama 2 years in a row at Tuscaloosa. I don't see them beating Georgia. I think they can honestly go 10-2 again. I think more probably they'll mess up 9-3. I think it all depends on Joe Milton.
Yeah.
I think if you see the Joe Milton that we saw this last year in the backup position, and then the Orange Bowl, hey, Tennessee may be in that top 4 or 5, but. You never know. And Nico, and if he's not performing, how quick do we see Nico out there?
Well, that was going to be my question to you as a Tennessee fan about Joe Milton. He probably has the most pressure of any college quarterback coming into this season.
He does.
Do you think he can handle that with his, if you want to use the word inaccuracy, that we've seen in the past?
You know, that cannon's good when you're just chunking it. But when you've got to make that precision throw that Hendon Hooker made all year, we'll see. We'll see. You know, I don't know because he made it in Orange Bowl.
Right, and that's what I'm anxious to see, whether it be Alabama, Georgia. I don't care who. It don't matter who y'all play. Now we've had a year to see this crazy offense that y'all run. So I think you're going to see a lot of defensive change. Instead of letting these guys, and I'm not taking anything away from your receivers because they were having to break coverage to get open. But I think we're going to see a little different in the coverage area. So I think
you're
his
going to see
window,
a lot more drop back and a lot more zone where they're going to make Milton find that.
That's
open spot.
That's where I was going. Like, can Milton really stand back there and go through his progressions? And can he hit that NFL window?
Right.
Because most of these DBs he's facing are going to be NFL talent.
Here's my thing. If nothing else, because it's been a long, rough time for Tennessee fans, but I have, in Josh Heupel, I trust.
Yeah.
I mean, he scored more touchdowns in his first year with a terrible, depleted Tennessee team that had no 4 stars, had a bunch of kids left for, transfer portal. Jeremy Pruitt left them just in such a mess. He scored more touchdowns with a ragtag team than he did than Tennessee's ever scored in the history of Tennessee football.
Right.
And I think all three of us would agree.
Yeah.
Tennessee's a top 10 all-time program.
Yeah.
Oh, and you did that with a 7-5 team.
Yeah.
Okay, so I trust that he can figure it out, and he's going to be able to make those adjustments. But it's that's my thing. Is you got 3 cupcakes. Tennessee has 3 cupcakes before Florida, right? You lose that Florida game, which you should win. You should be favored. You should win. You lose that game, and then next thing you know, you go on a gauntlet. You got South Carolina the next week, who ruined your season the year before. Things start going bad. When do you see Nico? I don't know. So, but I'm going to trust Josh Heupel. But next, I've got LSU. I think LSU fans are ready to throw Brian Kelly in the swamp and let the alligators eat him last year. And next thing you know, he's in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
He can run for governor and win.
And because here's the thing, LSU, they do have Bama. All right. But other than that, they don't have Tennessee. They don't have Georgia. I think they can win every other game they've got, and at worst be 11-1 regular season. Even if they don't go to Atlanta, they're 11-1 going to a bowl game. At worst, they're 11-2.
Right.
That you're going to be in the top 10, an SEC team,
Absolutely.
11-2.
Yeah.
And last, I've got Penn State just because the Big Ten's so awful, and they're going to put somebody that's not Michigan and Ohio State in there. So I've got Penn State.
I'm just not on the Penn State.
Well, I'm not either, but
we do have somebody that is a part of our group that is on the Penn State train.
But I think
he's not here tonight.
But I think they can go 9-3 and then win a bowl game and go 10-3 and probably make it in the top 10.
Yeah.
I'll even save Franklin's job for another year, or however long.
Yeah. All right, so this is Hayden's top 10. He's got Georgia, Michigan, Tennessee, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, Penn State, Clemson, Florida State, USC. He thinks Tennessee's going, 12-1 or whatever it was.
Well, if he's got – did he have Georgia?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
So he's got Tennessee probably going 11-1 again, and then
because
winning a
they
bowl
can't play
game.
in the,
Yeah.
He has them in the playoff. Going 11-1 and in the playoff.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so my top 10.
And it could happen.
It could.
Like I said, it all depends on what Dusty said.
Yeah.
Joe Milton, who's got the most pressure on him of any college quarterback in the nation right now.
Yeah. So here's my top 10. I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to go from 10. I've got Louisville at number 10 for the fact that got a loaded roster, a new coach that's going to fit that offense really well. ACC-wise, guys, they don't have to play Clemson or Florida State. And probably their toughest non-conference will be Kentucky, and Kentucky will be lucky to win 5 or 6 games this year. So I think that they're going to pull off at least 10, maybe 11. I don't know if they'll be in the playoff picture, but I think they'll have 10. They'll be good enough to get in that top 10. Number 9, I've got Clemson. Got them in the top 10. I think they'll lose to Florida State, and they'll find, I don't know, I think the Dabo's momentum is fading. I think they'll go 10-2, 11-2, win their bowl game, and eventually be in the top 10. But I don't think they're going to be playoff or ACC champions. Number 8, bit of a shocker. I'm going Oregon State. I think they have a loaded roster, decent schedule.
That's your West team that you like.
Well, I've got another one too.
Okay.
So, I think they're building a juggernaut there slowly but surely. Good running game. really good defensively. They just got a quarterback, I think, that's going to thrive in that system. I think they're a 10-11 win team.
And that's the thing. This was our topic. It's not what we think the best 10 teams will be at the end of the year. It's what we think the voters will vote. So, I mean, it's tough.
They'll have a 10. They'll play in a New Year's 6 game,
right,
and everyone will love them. Got Ohio State at 7. I think because their schedule is pretty weak, I honestly think they're going to lose twice.
You think Ohio State is?
They're going to lose to Michigan, and they're going to lose at Penn State.
Okay.
They do. You think they're going to lose at Penn State?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have Penn State.
He might get fired then.
Yeah.
He loses Penn State, he may get fired.
I don't have Penn State in the top 10 because James Franklin's going to James Franklin, and he'll be like 11 or 12.
Right.
These other ones are going to pass him. Got Kansas State winning the Big 12, finishing 6. Another brooding juggernaut. They're really good running game. Got a really good coach. That defense is much improved. They won it last year. Majority of those guys are coming back. They do lose Deuce Vaughn, but I mean, they breed 5'5", 145-pound running backs at Kansas State down there.
So you like Kansas State, you like Texas, I like TCU.
Yeah.
That'll be something we can also
The
put a
Big
little weight
12's
on
the Big 12's
by
so
the end
wide
of the year
open.
and see who was right on that call.
The Big 12's so wide open, but I think Kansas State's going to be the most consistent team in that league. I got Florida State at 5, just outside the top 4. I think they win the ACC, but I think they lose to LSU. I think they're going to find a way to lose to somebody in the ACC,
right?
Or maybe even lose to Florida because they do have a pretty tough schedule, and that is at the end of the year, so that could happen. Number 4 in my playoff, I'm going Utah because I think they are the most SEC team outside the SEC team. Big, tough, fast, physical defense, decent enough offense. They have the majority of everyone coming back, and they'll beat enough teams with numbers beside their name. They'll go 12-1, win the Pac-12, and they'll beat enough teams with numbers beside their names that voters are going to put them in the play.
Right.
And, you add a Florida, which that would be a decent – they'll beat an SEC team at home and non-conference. That will get enough people excited, so they'll move on there. Bama at 3, and then I'm like Dusty. I think Georgia and Michigan are going to play for the national championship.
I do too.
I have Georgia winning,
well,
but I think Michigan's going to get
that. We're all on the same page. I think we've all got those two as the top 2, and I think that's your national championship game.
Yeah. So, and Hayden thinks so. Well, who knows what Michael's thinking? He's got Penn State and Texas in the play.
Michael, you think Penn State or Texas is going to be number 1?
I do want to give a big shout out to my big good buddy, Mr. Charles Hanna. He said he's going to go out on a limb here and says Vandy might win 4 games this year.
No, they're over under 3.5. I mean, I have Vandy winning 4 games. Maybe 5.
I got them winning 2.
Yeah, actually, that's going to be. I'm working on a stat for NFL quarterbacks that Vandy has beaten since 2000.
Right.
So I've started at 2010, and I'm working up to.
Did you see where Vanderbilt is starting this new construction 2 weeks before season starts?
They're going to look like a Texas high school football state.
Well, the biggest diss tweet of all time, Jamal Lewis put out and said. It doesn't matter as long as it's done by the time Tennessee's home game's there. It'll be fine. Because it is. It's just another home game for Tennessee.
It is.
Well, that's in 2 years, right? Because they got to go to Tennessee.
They'll go to Knoxville.
That's right.
Year.
It was in. That's it.
All right. Well, guys, coming up next, we're going to rant here and we're just going to get off our chest what's on our mind. So that's coming up next here on xSports Live.
For decades, First Class Charter has provided high-quality motor coach transportation services to the Tennessee Valley. With numerous safety and cleanliness accreditations, First Class Charter is ready to make your group trip a reality. Contact us today by visiting firstclasscharter.net. First Class Charter, the official motor coach company of the North Alabama Lions.
Hey, this is Phil Hooper. Get the look you want for your favorite school, church, or business with apparel from HD Ink Screen Printing in Leoma, Tennessee. Got a logo you need embroidered or screen printed? Let HD Ink give you the professional look that sets the bar in today's world. We do fundraisers and custom designed apparel and so much more. Call today, 931-201-2961, or come see us at our new shop located at 26 Ingram Road in Leoma. Remember, HD Ink for the look you want and the look you deserve.
Whether it's popcorn, biscuits, or automotive, you need the right ingredients to achieve the best results. Heritage Automotive is proud to serve our community with a continually growing inventory. We also help our community grow by contributing to a vibrant economy, which helps build schools. I'm Keith Durham, and I'm the General Manager here at Heritage Automotive, and it's my job to make sure that you're 100% satisfied. Heritage Automotive, your hometown Chevy and GMC dealer.
If you're stuck, then you're in luck. Call Tyler McDowell with In-Service Towing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for quick, reliable service. When you find yourself in a bind, In-Service offers full-service towing and recovery services as well as vehicle lockouts, jump starts, and emergency roadside assistance. Family-owned, family-operated. When you need a hand, call In-Service Towing or ask for them by name. Serving Southern Tennessee and North Alabama. Phone number 931-843-9098 or visit inservicespecialties.com.
Are you looking for the perfect refrigerator? What about a new stove or washer or dryer? It only makes sense to shop at the one place that specializes in appliances, top to bottom, big or small. And that's Kelly Appliance in Lawrenceburg. Kelly Appliance is home to all major name brands, including LG. LG makes life good with a full selection of refrigerators, cooking appliances, dishwashers, microwaves, and more, including appliances made right here in Tennessee. Family owned and family operated. Stop by Kelly Appliance on Jerry Street in Lawrenceburg today. Great Lawrenceburg. Mouth-watering is just one way to describe the amazing flavors of the best piece of Hinie in town when you dig into a plate of pulled pork, hand-chopped brisket, chicken, wood-fire oven pizzas, and the menu goes on. Wash it all down with a swig of Hinie Shine lemonade and then make your way over to the gift shop full of Hinie sauces, snacks, and more. Hinie's BBQ, Highway 43 North in Lawrenceburg.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the xSports Network.
And welcome back to xSports Live, brought to you by Hinie's BBQ. Guys, final segment of the show, time to rant. Dusty, you got one? I know you're in between about 20 right now.
Well, let's let Clint go. Let Clint go, and then I'm going to follow up.
Okay, I've had one in the chamber for about a week now. I talked to AJ about it the other day when we were doing the Summertown Lawrence County volleyball game. I've said this before on this show. It's such a privilege that my youngest daughter, I can literally go back and watch every game she's ever played from her sophomore year until she graduates, because of what we do, what you guys mainly do, and I get to be a small part of. But it's so amazing. But yet, and I'm not going to call out a specific community for it or anything like that, but I'm going to remind everybody again. We're not going to put up. Listen, I've got my phone on Facebook, and I'm making sure I see all the comments when I call a game. I can't speak for AJ. I can't speak for Dusty. I can't speak for anybody else that calls any games. But when you start bashing xSports because I can't hear it or mine keeps freezing up, well, guess what? You didn't buy a ticket, you know? Or at worst, which is the most important thing, when you start bashing a 15 to 18-year-old kid on your comments, I'm going to ban you, because I somehow I've got to be an administrator, and I'm going to ban you because there's no need for it. All right, if you feel that highly about it, go to the game and buy you a ticket.
Yeah. Okay. And then you can sit in the
if
stands.
you are that interested in it, but you know, the griping about the coverage, hey, you know what? Sometimes you just got to refresh your page.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to click. Hey, if it's not working on Facebook, we're on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Okay. But the thing I will not tolerate is, because I saw it last year and I've seen it some this year. You can't talk crap about a 15 to 18-year-old kid.
Right.
Opposing team.
Yeah.
Kid that you're rooting for. That's just so classless, and you will get banned, and then you'll have to probably just watch it on YouTube, where you can't comment, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
But the last thing, I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Eddie Cobb. He was watching us do all of us, and he's a big Florida Gator fan, and he's mad that none of us had Florida in their top 10. Well, hey, Alabama, Tennessee, West Virginia guy, heck with Florida. Sorry, Eddie Cobb.
But didn't they get a new coach? What's it, Billy Napier?
They get new coaches every year.
Yeah, every
They're
year.
worse than Tennessee now.
I think they even got a new quarterback, right?
No, they lost to Arizona State because they couldn't get their money right. Sorry, Eddie. It's just low hanging fruit.
Sorry, buddy. We just like to make jabs and
I mean, they could be good, and they could be
not
like
be
they
good.
were a year ago. So they're definitely a big question.
I'll be honest with you. I think after this year, that's the next big. We're unloading the dump truck full of money, and who wants to come to Florida?
They're absolutely getting them a coach.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah.
But Eddie, I will tell you, when they play Tennessee, I will root for Florida if that'll make you happy.
Jeez.
All right, Dusty, what do you got?
All right, so I've been just going back and forth a few things. So I'm gonna stick with. Gosh, dog it. I'm going with sports. I'm gonna rant on the sports, and it's been a couple of weeks ago, but it started earlier in last year with the LIV with Live with the golf. Why in the world are we letting these Saudis come in and try to buy our sports? And where I'm going with this, and I read today that it was supposedly a lie. It's a social media page that has just trying to get hits, and it's possibly true. But this same guy, or these same group of guys, are trying to buy James Harden for $900 million.
And that don't make no sense. James Harden probably weighs more than I do right now.
He probably weighs more than
Y'all seen him lately?
Yeah. And he's on the backside of his career. He's not in his prime. He's washed up, more than likely, if you just want to go that route. But as us as sports fans, I don't have a problem with the guys from overseas coming and playing in our sports. I love it. You know, Kevin got me a nice prize. He's got Joker on it. Luka's been great. Giannis has been great for the NBA. And then we got Ohtani in the MLB. You know, we got all these guys coming in to our country and playing our sports. Why are our guys wanting to affiliate, and I'm going to call it dirty money? And that's my rant. I feel like we got to keep it here.
Well, and here's the thing, and y'all may have talked about this because I've missed a lot of shows with everything I've got going on. But what do you do if you're Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth? Do you get a lawyer to put a lawsuit against the PGA Tour because you tried to stay loyal and not take that Saudi money when you could have made $250 million to just go play, but you didn't because you wanted to, and then the PGA Tour says, no, we're going to let them play. When your hard stance was no, we're not endorsing that. And then the PGA Tour says, all right, we'll let them come. Because you know what? The best players in the world, a lot of them are with the Live Tour. But if you're going to stick your ground, stick your ground.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm admiring him.
But if I'm Rory McIlroy,
I love him. I think he's the greatest thing.
I'd be suing the crap out of him.
Absolutely.
I'd be getting some kind of playoff. Do you know what I turned down that I could have went and made?
Look at the money that DJ got. How much money could Rory get?
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we're going backwards in a lot of different ways, and that's one of them. It's the money.
Yeah, it's the money.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. They're not recouping all this money.
No.
There's no way they are.
They're losing.
Well, they're
it because
recouping
they
it
got-
from us because we're buying all our gas and all the other crap.
My daughter works at Orange County National Golf Course in Orlando.
Yeah.
And she got to drive Phil Mickelson around for 3 days when that's where the Live Tour, that's where that first tournament they had in the States was. And she just had a great time and stuff. But she said, Dad, it was just like a party. Like there were speakers and music playing on every hole.
Yeah.
They're playing in shorts. She said, I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. And so those guys got to just go have fun. They didn't care if they won or not because they'd already made their money just for signing.
And for two guys that's played golf for a lot of years, I don't play anymore. I'm a I'm a history guy when it comes to sports, and that's not part of golf. I'm sorry.
Well, listen, there's a lot. You could go through that golf rule book and scrap half of those rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everything needs to be, looked at and then remade.
But music on the course.
But hey, it's fine if you want to do a American tour tournament. Says, hey, this is the fun one. I mean, look at Scottsdale. When they're throwing. You should have some of those fun tournaments.
Yes, I'm not saying that, but
my daughter was just like, holy cow, Dad. She said, I ain't never seen so many people having fun playing golf. I said, you know why they're having fun? I said, because they've already made $200 million. They don't care if they win or lose. They're just out there playing golf.
Yeah, he can shoot 75, and I don't know. Yeah. We're in a bad shape.
But I played the same course that Brooks Koepka shot 16 under on. Yeah. I shot even par. Yeah. Ain't that tough. Saudis, in case y'all are watching, or offer me some money.
Can I be your manager?
Be my caddy.
You come around the golf
I give you 10% every tournament I don't qualify in.
hey, and you don't have to worry about not paying your own fees because Liv takes care of it, which PJ should have been doing a long time ago.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a lot of thing people don't know about golf. That if you don't make the cut, you don't make money.
You don't get paid.
Lose money that week.
Buddy that me and Dusty graduated with, played golf all his life. Is a great caddy, Matt Irwin.
Absolutely,
and that's what he does. And if his guy doesn't make the cut, doesn't get paid.
Yeah, that's right. It's a different business. Different. Well, my rant, I mentioned it earlier. It's funny. Your friend brought up Florida, so I'm going to talk about the Untold documentary on Netflix, or better yet, the Urban Meyer puff piece. Now, I watched all 4 the other day, and it was kind of fun watching it with my.
See, I haven't watched it, so I hate it. You're gonna spoil it, but do your rant. Don't spoil. Do whatever.
It's kind of fun going through the historical part of it because they kind of do break it down game by game from the entire Urban Meyer, which I like that they did that. But what they didn't talk about at all, they barely briefed on the arrest. They put it in a part of the documentary that made it sound like that only a few guys got arrested during.
Was Cam Newton ever in it?
He got a couple shots and was never actually mentioned.
I got you.
Neither barely was Percy Harvin, Joe Hayden, Douglas. I can't remember that guy's name. That got arrested before the 2009 SEC championship for DUI. That wasn't mentioned at all. They made it's an important guy on their defense got a DUI before the 2009 championship game.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. I had his name.
But he played.
He played, but as Paul Feinbaum put it in the documentary, Urban did the bare minimum, but that was just sort of glossed over, and Urban gave this BS story about some guy, and it's whatever. But I hate that this whole, they had Johnny Manziel, they had the Balco, and then they had this 4-part series. It's supposed to be Untold. They didn't really tell us anything.
Sugar-coated.
They sugar-coated, made Urban Meyer seem like he was
Did they say anything on Aaron Hernandez in his?
Tebow told one story about him getting called a racial slur outside of a bar and getting in a fight. And Tebow, I could have saved him. I mean, they made Tebow look like an angel, which for the most part he was.
Yeah, I mean.
Because he wasn't doing what the rest of those guys were doing.
No, you're right. I mean, next week it might be, Tebow may be found, in a risky situation, and we may all think less of him. But up to right now, I don't think Dusty as an Alabama fan, me as a Tennessee fan, could say one really harsh thing about Tim Tebow as a human.
No.
I mean, but it was just the way that they made it sound like all those arrests happened in the season between the championships, which was 31 arrests throughout the course of
one the day before the SEC championship.
They talked about, they barely touched on the fixer, which, by the way, the fixer only worked for the guys who were stars. Now, Urban told the truth in this. They said he treated superstars like superstars and is crap like crap. He said another 4-letter word, which basically, if you were a superstar, you could get away with murder. How many of those guys have been charged for a myriad of things, and that was never corrected. It was a Urban Meyer puff piece. And by the way, he said on air, one of my core tenets is you can't hit a woman. How did he get fired at Ohio State? Because he covered for a guy that hit a woman. And that guy was doing it in Florida too.
Yeah.
So I think watch it. It's sort of good to kind of
learned the untold stories.
I've been told. We all know these stories.
We know the stories. They're just clickbait stuff.
And some of that's been lies. Malice of the Palace was sort of lies. Johnny Manziel.
Now I will say this: the Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix.
Oh, it's great.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
That is. They don't pull no punches on that one.
The untold one about the female boxer from West Virginia. I mean, all of that's already been told. I mean, it's newer, so a lot of people know about her and what she went through. The best one they did was the minor league hockey team ran by the mob.
Yeah,
and even
that was great.
Even then,
that was
they
great.
didn't even. They only scratched the surface on the story. But I mean, it's basically if you know somebody has been paid to be a part of a documentary, it's a puff piece. It's a Players Tribune article, and the Players Tribune sucks. Sorry, you guys might like they said in their own words, but a lot of that stuff is BS and they're lying to you.
Well, I do have a question though for both of you. I've asked it to a couple different people. So we all three agree that Tebow was a good dude, good guy, whatever. So did he just not hang out with Hernandez? Like
they were roommates.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They were roommates.
Yeah.
So how did he
but
not
the
know?
way that Aaron liked to hang? Yeah.
You know, like
I think it was probably one of those things when it was season. Tebow probably kept him in check.
Yeah.
I think when it was off season, Hernandez was doing what he wanted to do, and T-Bone was doing his own thing.
I mean, Tebow wasn't going out to the clubs with Aaron.
Right.
Aaron had his own set of friends outside of that, and he also had his football friends, which Tebow was a part of. But just like Clint said, you can control him when he's in the locker room and inside your dorm room or your apartment. You can't necessarily control him when he's out in the club.
Right.
Which, I know one of Irvin's assistant coaches really well there, and I know a guy that I went to high school with that was one of their trainers, said it was hell. Said his family basically ran Gainesville. They could get away with whatever they wanted to get away with, and people would have packed up their bags of their own. Even though they're winning national championships, they would have. That's
still
why
that hated.
He's still that hated in Gainesville. No matter how. I mean, they haven't won anything since.
No,
but he's still that hated in Gainesville.
So you're saying next year when Napier gets gone, Urban Meyer's not going to be on the top of their list to come back?
He better not be. They might evacuate
They're
half
gonna
the
burn.
town.
They will burn.
Yeah. So that's my rant. I'm just untold. No, we already know the majority of these stories, and you paid a bunch of guys, so we got a puff piece.
Right.
It's not, the Manziel one was an abomination. They basically made it seem like he was he wanted to go to Texas, but Texas A&M had to step up when he had verbally committed to Oregon and would have been in a good.
And they never mentioned that.
Yeah, and what about the whole Cleveland Browns thing? They talked about that for 8 minutes. That should have been a part 2 of how awful he was in Cleveland.
About how many no-shows he had. How many second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances Cleveland gave him to try to be their guy.
And they talked about it for 8 minutes. I mean, and it's Netflix. It's not like it has to be on ESPN. You got to worry about commercials.
Well, my main thing was they pretty much admitted and owned up to money laundering live on that Netflix special.
Yeah.
And I'm going, all right, is the IRS coming after them? Is the FBI coming after them?
Yeah. But it's the NCAA's fault.
Right.
Sorry, that was the rule at the time.
Yep.
Just like I have a problem with them keeping the steroid guys out of baseball in the Hall of Fame. That wasn't a rule at the time. It's a rule now. Well, it's just stick them back in the football. Back in the football, old days in the 70s. Every receiver and DB wore stick 'em. They outlawed it. They still put those guys in the Hall of Fame. But you know what? Back then, guys, it was a rule.
Right.
And I know it sucks, and we don't agree with it, but it was a rule.
It was.
You had to follow
There's no
it.
reason that McGuire and Sosa and Bonds shouldn't be in there just for saving baseball in the late 90s and early 2000s. Because after that strike,
there's nothing.
I don't know.
It was
I'm
bad.
not so much on Sosa, but McGuire and Bonds.
Well, I mean, hey, are you watching baseball? Are you not? Are you watching the Braves? Are you watching anybody other than the Braves that year? You're tuning into Sports Center. You're finding where the Cubs are. You're finding where St. Louis is playing all year long that year to see, hey, did McGuire hit one? Hey, did Sosa hit one?
I remember them running highlights on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid.
You could be watching.
It saved baseball, and they're never going to get in the Hall of Fame. They might one day. It'll be like Pete Rose. It'll be when they're gone.
I I don't know that Pete Rose will ever get in.
He will.
He will when he's dead.
They'll
Yeah.
just as a jab to him. They'll do
Yeah.
it when he can't enjoy it.
Right.
But he kind of did that to
He done
himself.
it to
He did
himself.
that to himself.
Yep.
All right, that's my rant for the night, and that's the rant here for the guys. So got a busy week coming up. Got some big games tomorrow night. Loretto at Summertown. Lawrence County is on the road at Tullahoma at volleyball. Then, of course, we got Summertown taking on Wayne County at home on Friday, and big one, the Civil War going down to Loretto. And also, everybody, games have been pushed back to 7:30.
Great.
Because of the heat.
Thank the Lord.
Everyone remember that. So it's 7 o'clock, and you're, what happened? Where's the game? It's 7:30.
Going on to my rant.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be on the call tomorrow night. Loretto at Summertown. First time these two teams have played in volleyball since the state championship.
Yep.
And Will might be on the headset with me. So Loretto fans, if you feel like it's biased, you'll just have to get over it. But I do feel like most Loretto fans know that if I'm going to gripe about a particular team, it's going to be my own daughter in Summertown. So I feel like they'll be good about it. I'll be on the call the next night. Wayne County coming to Summertown. So it's been a busy week. I'm looking forward to it. We're in the grind of it, and I'm having fun.
Yep, it's been fun
as well. So for Dusty Kaiser, Clint Brazier, producer extraordinaire Kevin Wright, I'm AJ Good here on the xSports Network. We'll see you guys this weekend.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the xSports Network.